forthcoming. This is a Q&A session with the 4 Horsemen, and I have questions, you guys have questions, they have answers and water. So that's good. Now, let's begin with them introducing themselves. Please begin.
I'm Jeremy Gerard, the Director of Sales and Marketing for 4 Horsemen Studios.
I'm Eric Treadaway. I'm one of the co-owners of 4 Horsemen Studios, and I do a lot of the sculpting and design work for the line.
Jim Preziosi, co-owner and just general manager and person that does things. I don't know what I do anymore.
George Gaspar, same.
Thank you so much, guys. Thank you for coming and being here. And I just want to say thank you for everything that you've given us over the years. I don't think people give you guys enough credit for that, so I'd like to do that now. So thank you. It's crazy coming from a photography end, because you guys have Trevor, and I still think that's one of the best things that's ever happened, and that's where I think my first question.
So do we.
Good. I'm glad.
Where is he? I saw him in here. Okay. Someone's looking cool.
What's crazy is that's actually going to lead into my first question. Elevating things through photography has been something I truly believe in, obviously, but it's crazy to see you guys hire someone within our community that becomes like a beacon to kind of make things shine. Like, in your transparency of doing that, how do you guys feel ever since you brought Trevor on? Because I thought that has been a big plus for you guys.
I mean, we were always very open about the fact that we were horrible photographers for years and years. And I mean, you know, luckily people bought into what we were doing, even with horrible photography. But we long knew that we wanted to elevate the presentation of what we were bringing out to the world. And, you know, we had admired Trevor's photography and, you know, saw what he was doing within the community. And, you know, he was up for one of the G-Cons, the early G-Cons that we did. And, you know, we got to talking, and then, you know, kind of the rest was history after that. But as far as, you know, as our feelings about it, you know, it absolutely has just elevated the full presentation. You know, it's such a big part of our launches, our rollouts, and, you know, we were actually even talking to Trevor about this morning. Like, it's gotten to the point now where his photography is a big part of the storytelling that we've integrated more and more into the releases. And you know, because it's always been a big part of what we want to do with this stuff is not just put the figures out, but attach them to storylines and narrative. And you know, the more that we've collaborated and the more that we work together, it's just like there's this synergy now where, you know, I was looking at some of the stuff that we're going to reveal tonight, and like they really feel like they're panels or frames from, you know, a film. Like it's telling that story so well. So, you know, on every level, like it's just been, you know, such a successful collaboration.
I'm happy to hear you say that, because it's one of those things that I've picked up on personally, where the storytelling itself has been phenomenal, to the point where I'm looking for Easter eggs in every photo. And it's so much fun, because it almost adds to the fun of it, where you can go, well, I saw a skeleton there in one photo, and I saw a hand there, like, what is this going to lead to? And it's been spectacular to have. So again, thank you guys for bringing on Trevor, and it's elevated what I feel was already a great line into the next level. So thank you.
Sure.
One thing to add to that, the cool part about our relationship with Trevor is, like everybody else, they were really fans of what we're doing. Trevor came to a couple things and brought, like, this is what I've done. It's not like, you know, we had the opportunity, had like a like 5 guys that were really good, and like, I really want to get this guy's stuff because he did something good for somebody else. He just showed like what he could do, and that's what attracted us immediately. And it's like, this is awesome, and it developed into that. So it's a lot of the stuff that's gone on. It's kind of weird because none of it was like planned, and we never figured to meet Walter. We never knew we were going to meet Trevor at some point. So, all those little pieces and little relationships within the community, it just makes it grow even more, in addition to, like, you guys, like, going on Instagram and places like that, putting posts up showing the stuff that you've gotten. We also get, our employees from that, and people that are really into it. But they also show their how much they like it by doing those kind of examples and stuff like that. So I'm really happy the way that everything like that is working out.
That actually brings me to another question. Walter, it's crazy because Walter went from super fan to like, I consider Walter an employee at this point, And it's,
he kind of is,
it really does feel like that. And
Name's on the box.
Yeah,
You're the only one.
He's on the box. And it's crazy to me because a question that I wanted to ask you is, I feel like you guys do a great job of curating the community in a way that you have been so painstakingly honest with them. How do you navigate that to where the lines don't get blurred? Honest question.
Well, let me tell you. No, I mean, I've always said that the positivity of this community starts at the top. So it's a positive company. We don't want to, dwell on the drama. We want to make cool toys. We want to make people happy. Like every morning when I wake up, my why for what I do, I was just talking to Eric about this, my why for what I do is to bring joy to people. And that's what's important to all of us. The community is a reflection of that. And Walter has created this incredibly positive cabal, but the cabal helps police itself. Yes. Like when somebody comes in the cabal and starts acting in a non-cabal-like way, a non-legionnaire way, there are other people, sometimes publicly, sometimes privately, that will reach out to them and they'll say, hey, especially if they're a new person, I know you've probably been around other toy groups. This is a little bit different. You need to understand. And there have been a number of people. I've met people like at LegionsCon. I met a guy last year that was like, yeah, I was kind of a jerk when I first came in and you put me in my place. And then I realized what this thing was all about. And it's amazing. It's so positive. It's made such an impact on my life and on my happiness. So that's, I think, how we curate this community is, we put positive vibes out there and we surround ourselves, both at the studio level and the fan base level with like-minded people that want to be part of something positive as well.
I love to hear that. Thank you. Third question. I know it's going to sound stupid, but are you guys drinking more water? Gotta throw that in there.
Part of the brand.
This one is now real. With all of the new upcoming waves, all of the new lore that you've been releasing, now, this is a question that I feel like a lot of people who are longtime fans of will past lines be integrated into the new, like the mythos you have now? Will it retain as being its old thing? Will all become new again? These are, questions that some of us have.
As far as that, you're talking about like Seventh Kingdom, Gothotropolis, things like that. More than likely, they're going to stay in the past. They were so, they were created with the same way that Mythic Legions has been created, with their own lore, their own character, relationships, and very specific to the worlds that they were created in. And I don't feel like they would make sense to port them into Mythic or Cosmic or anything like that. So, I mean, at least for now, like, we're so focused on, now 3 lines all of a sudden with Cosmic and Figura. We're so much in the now and moving forward and trying to create new things that excite us now and that make sense within the lines that we're doing. At least for now, I think they're going to remain dormant, just because there's so many ideas that we can't get them out fast enough. So like the idea of going backwards, it's actually a little daunting to really go back and revisit that stuff. It's the figures still exist out there. People still enjoy them when they can get their hands on them, but I think they're at least done for now.
Totally respectable. And that leads into the question I have next is the reason why I asked that is because you guys have done an excellent job about reissuing things. And I feel like I love the idea of that. It lets it be accessible to new people while also offering to people who may have missed out the first time. I am in that group of people who have missed out on things. And I adore the fact that it's like, hey, I missed this thing, but now I have a second chance. Or I have a chance at the new version. And that's exactly why I asked the previous question, because it may be daunting now, but you may change your mind later. You never know. You never know. But I love that you reissue things. Now, as a choice, I see that. What made you guys do that? Like, is it your love for community? Was it just because you felt like doing it? Honest question.
I can take that if you want. I think one of the things that I think defines us as a company is that, we're fans too. We're fans, like lifetime fans, in a lot of cases. And we've all been in the position where you jump into a line late and or you get on a website and, sold out, you can't get it anymore. And so, it's just simply really from the fact that, we know that position, and, if somebody gets into the line 7 years into the line and they want A-list characters that we've developed so intrinsically into the lore, like we don't want them just hanging where they can't get these characters. So for us, it's just a very natural approach. And sometimes they're straight reissues, like with All Stars, and then sometimes they're 2.0 versions of characters that maybe now in the present that like the designs aren't as powerful as we could do now. But we certainly don't want to withhold important characters from people. And sometimes it takes a little while to get to a requested character, but it's important to us to make sure that folks are getting what they want.
I love that answer. Do you guys? Actually, first, can you guys give me your favorite characters? Just one character on top of your head that you feel like is your personal favorite.
I can. Scapular is my favorite.
Obviously.
And it's funny because the obvious answer would be Sir Gerard, right?
Yeah.
But no, having gotten to write these characters, I can tell you that having collected the lines since the very first wave, I always thought Scapular was cool, but was never my favorite figure or favorite character until we started like really fleshing out the story and wrote that character and realized just how much fun that character is to write. Absolutely, that is my favorite character. I will tell you though, so I can name 2 characters. Another character who writing her made me love her so much more than initially is Artemis Silvercord.
For Mythic, I'm not even gonna try. This is a question I'm always pretty terrible at answering because I can't pick. Cosmic's a little easier. Definitely very attached to Thygar, and Aziri was one that I was surprised by the time she was sculpted, then painted, and then, finally out as a production piece, how much I like the way that she turned out. And I mean, really just that core crew of characters, like I love those guys, but those two in particular, like, really stand out for me.
I don't think I have a particular favorite, but and I really, to be honest, don't really collect that kind of stuff and bring it home or anything. But the stuff that I do bring home are all the figura obscura stuff. I think that it's always use it for decorations and stuff, and I really think that that's my favorite type thing. So I'm gonna go a category instead of a whole.
I'm here for it.
Figure.
Frodo's the fresh maker.
I didn't expect that.
I did.
I'm here for it. The reason why I'm asking that is because I feel like when you guys have personal favorites and attachments to them, there's a lot of love attached to it. You can feel that joy. Do you guys, community-wise, do you feel that when you see your characters being shown off or someone talks about it, is it something that kind of like sparks joy for you? Is the reason why you do it?
Oh yeah, for sure. I mean, like I said, everyone has their own favorites. So seeing people, whether it's toy photography, whether it's, fan, I mean, people have written like fan fiction short stories for some of these characters, customs using those figures to make their own maybe version 2s of them. Seeing other people's favorites presented in a way that clearly has that love, yeah, that makes me like the characters even more.
Yeah, I feel the same. Now, this one is something that I have learned personally through being on the industry side of things. You guys have a way of being transparent with both fans, community, consumers that I feel like is unprecedented, and I want to say thank you. I appreciate it. You guys are keeping shipping updates. You're always informing people. Do you think that has been difficult as of late with fandom, or is it just one of those things where because you've stayed so true to it, it's easy for you to just like breeze through it?
You know what? It is different. It is different. I think we're lucky enough that the people that do buy our stuff have become so understanding of what we try to do. And, I mean, we are transparent about things, and when things take a little bit longer than they do, and so we used to be, I think, even more worked up about, oh no, this is going to be another 2 weeks or stuff like that. Now it's more like, everybody gets it. It'll get here. You guys expect a certain level of quality, and that's what the goal is, to be like that. I think it's easier now. Yeah. The prices are higher, but
I'm very happy to hear that, because I always grow worried, because with being transparent comes a level of accountability, obviously. And you guys have accepted that, whether it's good or bad. And like I said, thank you, because a lot of people can't handle that. It gets to a point where some people kind of turn inward and reject the community. You guys have constantly embraced that. So this is not a question, but more so a thank you. So I just wanted to know what it was like to get into your head for a second with that, because I know that can't be, well, you said it's easier, obviously, but I know it can't be easy going through it in that moment.
Honestly, I think sometimes I think we're too transparent, honestly. Like, there's times where, like, we'll get information about when a container's arriving or whatever, and we'll tell everybody because we're excited, because we're just as excited to get it as you guys are. And then it gets held up for some reason or another. And then we start getting, well, you guys said it was going to be here and then. And it's like, well, now, and then we get like a little blowback, and it's like, see, if we just didn't tell them yet, no one will be yelling at us yet. So like, it's a double-edged sword. Sometimes it's hard because, and we get it. We don't want to wait either. We want it to be here just as fast as you do. So it's like.
But it's good to hear that every now and then, because I feel like, because parasocial relationships are very different. Some of us come for a time before the internet. some not so much. And like it used to be, you can tell somebody something and they kind of just like, okay, and it'd be a little bit more understanding. Nowadays, people feel like it's very intimate, very now, very rushed. So it's like you said, there's that little bit of blowback, but you've grown to a point where you like, hey, I get it. I've had to wait for an item stuck in customs too.
Yeah.
You know? So, again, thank you for everything.
Yeah, we're always as frustrated as you are. Yeah. Just believe us.
I'll add that, we do try to be very, very transparent with what's going on. We want that information to be out there. That's just a decision that we have made. And inevitably, whenever you put information out there, some people are going to get it, some people are not going to get it. It's the internet, everyone's got a comment or something, but the other day someone said something like, you're never going to make everyone happy. And I responded with, yeah, but that doesn't mean we shouldn't try to make as many people as happy as we can. Understanding that there's always going to be someone that sees the negative side of a situation doesn't mean that we change who we are or how we want to communicate with people. Being transparent and, again, like I said earlier, putting out kind of that positive vibes, that's what we're going to keep doing.
I love that. Now, I'm just going to give people a break because I realize maybe I'm talking too much. Is there anybody that has questions in the audience? Now is the time. Yes, Purple Man.
Anyone else?
Let's hear it, Purple Man.
Where's Maverick? Yeah, where's Maverick?
What?
Nice. I actually get that. Okay, wow.
Tell me more.
I wasn't expecting to be put on the spot like this. I'm so embarrassed.
That's what you get.
So,
You raised your hand.
the ideas that are coming in. We know that you got the Wizard of ZBrush in house. Jeremy, Gerard, your creativity, whatever the guy on the end does, again, holding it all together. How do you, and this is the things I've always wondered, how do you decide which idea to move on first? Like, which one needs to hold back? What is there a specific selection process, or is it darts at the wall? How do you stop the flow of just greatness and channel it in one direction or the other? I'm constantly in awe. So I'm seriously, how?
I understand what you're saying.
Story, right?
It's what needs to be done at the time, right? Where we're at and where everybody who's into this is at, we kind of figure out what's next and what we're trying to, ultimate goals. So yeah, it's just basically what needs to be done at the time.
Yeah,
to get the overall thing out there. Like where are the people at with Mythic? Where are the people at with Cosmic? Like Cosmic is, in really its infancy at this point. And but the array of characters is so much more diverse. So like where we're trying to go with that is what we're doing those days, and where we're going to go with Mythic, and what kind of things can we discover with the figure obscura, like that people would really dig but would never expect to see something like that, and what we can do within the parameters of how we operate, reusing pieces and things like that. So, yeah, it makes for a quick week. It makes the week go by quick because there's a lot of moving parts at all times.
It changes quickly too. That's one of the things we've talked about before. Like the way we operate is very, very flexible. Like, and kind of what Jim's saying is like we look at what's going on with the fan base and what people are reacting to, and so there's a story element that we're trying to tell. Shared tooling, parts like that, just the practicality of the situation, and just what's exciting creatively. Because there's so many things that we want to do, so many things that we talk about. You know, we constantly, like, I mean, the conversations are very geeky at the shop, you know, like we're just speculating on what type of character, what type of monster, whatever would be cool to do. And then, looking at how to execute it. And then, there's, it used to be, we never had a schedule a year ahead of time, but now we're working on the schedule for next year now. And so, we're already talking about Legion's Con next year, which is, it's crazy. But so, yeah, it's really like this, it's a combination of a lot of elements coming together. And then, there's things that like I wanted to do 2 years ago and then again 1 year ago that will finally happen at, for the G-Con wave this year. So sometimes there's ideas that, get shelved temporarily, but, come back around again.
What exactly is that thing for this year's G-Con? That's the next question. I mean, come on.
Get out of here.
Brian is up next.
Y'all have seen your chairman, so you know the type of question I'm about to ask. With the general, the pretty rapid expansion, in my opinion, and growth of the company over the previous couple of years, but now it is very evident in the toy industry a pullback of people putting out money ahead of time for products. We're hearing it everywhere. I personally am doing it. People like him I know personally are doing it, where you're slowing down on what you're willing to put out with interest rates on certain kind of wall, right? Do you see, or are you considering a pivot in your business model or alternate paths in the business model, which has been the same pretty much since the onset, right? Whether Kickstarter before, best prices, pre-order, get it out, determine your analytics to build your capacity for your retailers and so forth, push it out. Because it feels like the industry as a whole is all staring at that. And you may not answer it, but I was going to ask.
Wow, that's an awesome. Oh, whoa.
Well,
Before he tried to roast me. I'm only pulling back because he makes me spend money. Go ahead.
so we're constantly looking at the business model and how we do things to say, are there any changes that we need to make? At the end of the day, we're still a very small company. For all the growth that we've had, we are still a very small group of, creators that are doing this. So the pre-order model that started with Kickstarter really does work very well for our company because it allows us to not guess, to not say, oh, well, how many of these should we make? We're collectors, right? We've all heard about peg warmers. Peg warmers are estimates and guesses that were incorrect. They made a certain number of figures, they made too many of those figures. So pre-orders help us eliminate some of that risk. At the same time, we're totally cognizant of the fact that there's only so much that people are gonna wanna put out. So we are doing a lot more in-stock stuff. I don't know if anyone here heard, but a week ago we dropped a figure called Skeleton Legion Builder 2 that was pretty popular. People really liked it. That was an example of us doing something in advance that we made a number of so people could get that immediate in-hand item. Figure Obscura has been like that. But the other thing that we're also doing with the pre-orders is trying to ensure that you get the most value for what you get. If you look at the figures that you're getting today versus the figures you got a couple years ago, the prices have remained the same from us, but you're getting a lot more in those. So we understand that people are more discerning with their purchases these days. So our goal is we want to make it so when they look at which purchases they're going to make and which ones they're going to eliminate, we fall in that, we're going to make that purchase category because you're not going to find a better value out there.
That was an extremely difficult question To add, and an excellent answer. I can't. I personally don't know.
We do say so ourselves.
No, I don't. I'm serious. I mean that's a. I mean everybody kind of thinks like that, and people every person I talk to, I always ask like, what's going on out there? What are people interested in? What are people looking for? And what you said is exactly right. Everybody's just looking at I'm not just going buying stuff crazy like that anymore. What are things that I'm buying that are worth it to me? They have a value and all that. I mean, Jeremy, like I said, could not have answered that question. I can't. There's nothing I can add to that. And that's really our thing. And I mean, Jeremy is absolutely right when he says that those peg warmers, we've gone, we started in 1999. There were a bunch of companies out that made some really good things and stuff like that. Completely different time. And that's what I would, suspect had put them under. They over-ordered, then incurred all kinds of expenses of holding it, because you have to understand there's just a certain number of people you're going to sell this stuff to. And then you got to wait a while until more people understand what you're doing, and you'll sell it. But you can't pay those storage charges long enough to get those people. And times change. Like what we did 5 years ago is different than what we do now. So when it comes to what we do and how we sell it, it will change, I don't know what we'll do in 3 years from now. But I do know that whatever it is, we'll try to, our goal is to make sure that that product is the exact same thing we had when we started the company. So, good job with that answer.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
No notes. But it brings me to another thing. Like us as collectors, a lot of us will, at least me, I collect a bunch of different things, like different items plus a bunch of different items. I like synergy in my fantasy, and it's cool because you guys do it in a way that it is. It's relatively easy for me to go, hey, I missed this at pre-order. I have a bunch of official retailers that I can reach. Now, one thing I want to say, and this is, again, not a question, thank you for not putting it in places like Target and Walmart, because having it be for collectors and by collectors has been something that kind of shares that camaraderie. And now here's the question, what made you choose to keep it out of places like that?
They don't want it?
Well, that's part of, well, I mean, yeah, a part of it, obviously they work in volume. Obviously they work on a schedule of, stuff's got to be at the loading dock at a certain day and time and in the right color box and all the rest of the stuff for them to put it on their shelves. Mm-hmm. That's not how we operate. So we can't just say if we had an order with a big box store or something like, yeah, it's not going to be ready for another 3 months because we're retooling a part. They would be, okay, fine, your orders are canceled and whatever, and that's it. So, I mean, to be honest, the last place I'd want to be is in Walmart or Target or something like that.
I completely agree, because I don't think that a lot of people understand, like places like Walmart and Target kind of force you to have an item when it's not ready, and then we'll pretty much kind of go, hey, we're canceling every order with you, and it's going on.
Yeah, it's just not worth it.
It'll help put somebody out of business. Mm-hmm. But I ask that because I don't think a lot of other collectors understand that.
Well, I think the other aspect of it, George said they didn't want it. But that's true. You go to any of those stores, look in the toy aisles, how many properties do you see, if they have toys at all, how many properties do you see there that aren't a major movie or an animation, a television show or something? They're all licensed IP stuff that people who walk into those stores are going to know those properties. I've said this to people many, many times that we want to tell stories. And when you want to tell stories, you tell it in the way you know how. If you're a filmmaker, you make a movie. If you're an artist, maybe you make a comic or something. They're toy guys. So the way that these stories were told were through action figures. So creating those original stories and those original characters, the limited shelf space in a big box store, it's just not a fit there. The online market has really allowed for companies like ours to put these ideas out there and find that audience that can do it, because there is no shelf space restrictions when it comes to the online shopping, right? So that's been really beneficial. That's why, in some ways, the decision to work with the kinds of retailers have just happened out of necessity. And like so much that happens with our company, something that just happens, you sit back and there's like a magic moment where it's like, that just happened the way it did, and it ended up being an absolutely perfect direction for us to go. And you're such fortuitous timing in a lot of cases.
I love to hear it because personally, I'm really glad you'll never end up in those places. I feel like as a guy who tries to collect domestic toys, I never see one on the shelf, ever. So I'll be frustrated as a collector to go into a place that says they have something on a shelf and for it to never ever be there. I would be upset. It makes me want to not collect a lot. So thank you for believing in retail stores and brick and mortar, because you also help keeping them alive as well too. So it works in synergy, like I mentioned.
It does, and if you go, we have on our website a list of our retailers, some of who are online, but a lot of whom actually have physical locations. Yep. We talk about this all the time. When we see retailers post photos of their Mythic Legions displays, you get like goosebumps. Because you remember being a kid and going into the toy store and seeing all that stuff, and to see a line you worked on there, it's amazing. So if you have a local retailer with a store, go in, introduce yourself, tell them that you absolutely love the line, support the line, buy some stuff, support that retailer. They are doing amazing work to help spread the word on all this.
Perfect, because it's always going to be someone's first toy, so you want to present that.
Yep.
You have a question? Yes.
First of all, I very much enjoyed that opening question. Where do you see the brand, or ideally, where would you want the brand to be in about, let's say, 10 years? Like, what would you stress? Things would you like to be stressing over in 10 years? More than
I think, again, if we're talking about the fact that, we love sharing these characters, these figures, and so on, I think for us, there's always kind of those dreams of, getting a TV show or an animation, doing comic books, getting it on lunch boxes, things like that. And so I think for us, just the idea of finding ways to expand, expand the brands out to reach more people. For us, it's just fun because more people get to enjoy it and things like that. And it's also, just from being pragmatic, it keeps the company healthy. It keeps the brand healthy. Because, from a selfish standpoint, I want this company to keep going just so that we can keep doing what we're doing. That's, for me, that's my real motivation. I love getting on my computer and sculpting. I love going into the office, hanging out with the people that, all the people, we brought everybody into the office because they're people we like. They're people, they're all talented, but they're people that, we handpicked. So it's a fun environment to be around the people there. It's fun to do the stuff that we do. And so that's really, so much of what the motivation just to keep this company going. And then on top of that, then the healthier the company is, the more we can come to events like this and meet people and hang out, and the community's thriving. So that's really, like, in 10 years, like, I want us all still to be here, talking about, 10 years ago, remember, that panel at Ishcon and stuff like that. And just, for things to be thriving, and whether that means, we eventually could get some sort of a bigger media presence, or just continue making toys, in the future. Either way, I would be perfectly happy with that.
I meet a lot of people when they come to shows and they see the stuff and they've never heard of it before. Oh.
Flash flood warning. Carry on. I float, so just pile on.
So I meet a lot of people that they see the toys and they say, is this a comic book? Is this a movie? What is this from? I would love it in 10 years if people look at this property and say, this started out as toys? I want people to be introduced to Legions through other things that are out there, through other ways we're telling these stories, and then be like, wow, there's actually toys? There's 20 years of toys for these? They're on All-Stars 15? That's what I'd love. 10 years from now, that's what I'd love people to be saying.
Another great answer. I can't add anything to it. Perfect.
He's a one-man army. Any more questions? Where are we?
So you guys keep mentioning the story, and you mentioned the comic occasionally. So just curious, why only one comic? Any plans on continuing the comic book series? And where are we with the books?
I'll let you take
Jeremy,
that.
why don't you give us another fantastic answer? You're so good at these answers, Jeremy.
You have
Just
a
give us
lot
another
of
one.
insight.
Don't let him smoke you down.
So the comic that exists that came out with the first Kickstarter, we've said that's not canon. That was created at a very specific time. Different things have happened since then, different ways of approaching it, and the decision was made, okay, well, do we use that and back into that story, or do we just kind of say, you know what, that's a fun little read for what it is, but we don't want to be hamstrung by it. So that's why we decided to do that. The story's progressing. The book is in the editing stages now. It's a lot more work than I think we realized it would be. Even just talking about some of the editing, some of the aspects that have to be edited for it to be not only an enjoyable read, but a credible read, for it to make sense. We're working on that from the Mythic perspective. And yeah, comic books, that's something we're very interested in. I think it's safe to say that you'll hear something about a comic at some point soon.
Jim, was that okay?
Was that okay?
That was good. I mean, it really didn't move the needle for me too much. I just want you to know, in the next years to come, we're very interested in getting more media stuff out there, more videos, more things like that, of just stuff that we're doing, and try to get more of the story out there and more attention to what we're doing with the toys, things like that. So,
Good answer.
thank you.
Excellent. And if you guys need some comic book guys, I know some people. But I know that I am pressed for time, so I just want to say thank you again. I have one last question, and this is just a personal one. Did you guys, because in the Cosmic Wave that was featured before this reveal tonight, you revealed a new creature. Did you find that difficult to sculpt, tool, and create something like that? And will we see more of it? Yeah.
We're talking about the skate back, right?
Yeah. Because I love it.
Nice. Oh, well, that's good to hear. That's awesome.
Personally, I ordered 5, so don't judge me.
I won't.
Judge you favorably.
Yes, yeah, that's true, yes.
No, he
Another
said don't.
excellent answer.
He said don't. Don't judge him favorably.
Judge me neutrally.
I mean, it was the first time we did a figure like that outside of, I guess the closest thing would have been a horse or like a mount type character up to that point. So, I mean, yeah, it provided a few different challenges, but I mean, it was the type of challenge that was, it was a lot of fun to tackle and just bring something different in shape and size and, kind of character-wise to the line. And then as far as going through production, it at least, hasn't been much different than one of the standard figures. Probably the biggest challenge there is to figure out how to package it, just because it's, it's more unique and, the presentation. And as far as, will we see more? Yeah, I would say so. Yeah, I mean, it's we were very happy just in that wave in general. Like, two things. We added the more prop type pack with the containers and things like that. Yeah, that's what it got a good response. So we were happy with that because we like that. It's just like a world building tool, and it's great for people who are building diodes. It's great for photographers, and it's just fun for shelf display and playability. So that was well received, and then with skate back as well, like bringing something that was not a mount, not an ogre scale, not a figure, like it's something like creature, something more in between. We were happy with the way that came out and how that was received. So, we definitely think that sort of approach is something we'll see more of.
Would you give creatures their own scaling, where it's called creature scaling, or you just want to leave it in English for now?
We called it a deluxe creature.
Okay.
It's like sometimes
We call everything a deluxe something.
I was just gonna say we kind of there are times where we have to put things in buckets for like price categories, but we've painted ourselves into corners in some instances, like George said, by calling everything deluxe. But right now that says, on the order forms, it says deluxe creature.
Any last closing thoughts besides changing skeleton build into meatless men? Like, what's up?
Meatless man. I'll circle back to our question one, where we just kept saying the name Trevor, but it's Trevor Williams, 1/6 shooter, in case there's anyone in here who doesn't know what we're talking about or who we were talking about. Just so you can look them up in case there's someone in here who doesn't know what we're talking about.
Shades on. I think I don't see you. I mean, it's been wonderful. I want to say thank you again. I appreciate you guys doing this Q&A with us. I don't want to take up too much time, but again, you guys have been wonderful. Nothing but transparent and happy, and I love you guys for it. So thank you for everything.
And thank all of you.
Thank you very much.
And are you all coming back here tonight at 8 o'clock? Yeah. So 8 o'clock tonight, we'll be back in this room and we'll be doing the reveal. We hope to see you all here.